Oh, it's so hard to keep track of everything. I believe. All right, we're live. Hey, everybody. It's the 25th of June, 2024. This is Gimbalabs Playground, and it's our final meeting of season 3. So we started season 3 of Playground back in September of 2023. I forgot to count how many rows there are on the table, but there's been dozens of meetings over the last 10 months, a wide variety of people sharing about all sorts of different topics. We've had a few people present once. We've had a few old friends sharing ideas, and I think it's exciting that we're finishing this season with Lucas, one of the people we've been collaborating with for the longest for updates on 45B. How are you, man?
Yeah, all good. I also my response is always running around, and like I was saying, now I'm a bit physically traveling a bit and working in the process. So it's been interesting after 4 years of quitting TradFi to become a digital nomad. Now I'm actually living it a bit more. And in the meanwhile, I found out about Web3 and Cardano, and so yeah, it's all looking great.
Your body's finally moving the same pace as your mind.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
feels a bit more free to leave the house a bit more and come and meet real people to some conferences as well.
Well, I know you're going to give us some updates on that. Do you want to share the Miro board for just a sec so people can
Yes.
kind of see where we've been?
Mm-hmm.
Um, for anybody, this will stay up at gimbalabs.com/playground. You're going to be able to review this Miro board for a couple more weeks. But it's right here. And this is just a little history of what we've done. And season 4 will start up hopefully sometime this fall. As we're going to talk about at Open Spaces, the format of Playground might change in the fall, and we are looking for somebody to take on hosting. I'll be taking a break during season 4 as the host of Playground. There's a few other things I want to focus on. So we're looking for somebody to step up and run this. We have a catalyst proposal about sustaining and maintaining Gimbal Labs. And we have a lot of people with a lot of creativity about how we can best use these spaces. So that'll be an ongoing conversation that starts on Thursday at Open Spaces and continues asynchronously through the summer. When we make a decision about what to do next, details will be shared about Playground Season 4. But it feels good today to be kind of closing out this season and at least my first run as host of this space. I'm excited for somebody else to take over. So yeah, excited to be here and to see how we close out. Lucas, take it away. What you got for us today?
Yeah, thank you. I didn't realize it was going to be the very last one of this season, but I'm honored, and it's really interesting for me because uh, the idea to sign up came when I randomly was browsing Discord and I found the last time I came over. The project 45B is still an embryo, although we're starting to get some funding and some projects running, but still quite a small team. Yeah, so let me just place this on the screen for today. So when I signed up, I put together some notes so that I spread out topics to talk with you guys. But the main overall way I would like to run this call is really just an open discussion about what we're about, what we're doing, and how does that relate with Gimbal Labs. Because I think there's a lot more value in finding those commonalities and opportunities to collaborate than to just be a one-sided presentation. So yeah, let me just focusing on the headers. We have updates from 45B. If you allow, I'll run through our catalyst proposals for Fund 12. And then we have building together, so a bit more maybe on open source and these two entities that we've been having working on. Well, this one is fairly new. This one's been around a year. And then also I have a why Cardano thing, which is just some random discussions, maybe to close on a roundtable of why Cardano instead of Bitcoin. This, just as a full disclosure, comes because I was just in BTC Prague, which is a conference just for Bitcoin maxis mostly. And I had some interesting discussions there where I tried not to tell people I work for, on Cardano, but it always had to come up somehow. So yeah, so let's just start with this one. And again, stop me anytime. Don't feel any problem to, because as you can see, it's not a very strict format. Yeah, so in terms of just reintroducing our mission, I'm not sure exactly how I presented last time, but probably I was just with a Google Doc with some snippings. And meanwhile, we've upgraded to my report. We also have a page which is still, it needs some styling, but if you want to find us, I'll keep referring you to 45b.io. It's literally just a placeholder website or page or landing page where you can get in touch with our profiles here, team members. We have myself and Roberto mainly, and a number of people that are collaborating. It's a lot of Portuguese guys that I'm trying to onboard. So what I say in the beginning here is like, we don't try to be a DAO or a company formally. It's really just a hub of people, hub of freelancers, let's say. And what I was saying is a lot of the people I keep onboarding or trying to bring to these projects are designers, video editing people, trainers. A friend just did a boot camp on front-end development. He did nothing in IT, and now I'm onboarding him to help already on the DREP governance program that we were funded by Intersect to do. So it's really been quite interesting. And yeah, taking the opportunity since I'm on the screen, there's these two sides to 45B. The main one being by far Web3 orientation for end users and small and medium businesses. So when I landed in Cardano, I felt this great ecosystem with a lot of people willing to share, but the theme was a lot, let's bring people to Cardano, and the conversation always went on the technical side on how to build on Cardano. And I wanted to create something that's a bit more focused. Initially, it was for non-technical. I worded it as non-technical people. Now I'm focusing a bit more on this kind of end users and small and medium businesses type of wording and target. But yeah, it's about bringing end users, onboarding, like in Bitcoin, they say orange pilling, and in Cardano, I'm not sure how we could call it, but it's that kind of onboarding community. And because we have these kinds of skills that for myself, for example, I've been a technical business analyst, I've done a bit of project management, product management as well, or requirement management. So we're trying to also help some projects with these kinds of skills. So as you can see, there's no real code here, at least from my part. It's really the other part, everything that can help projects. Yeah, so I think that's enough for the 45b.io website. I invite you to take a look at our proposals, but we're going to go over them later. And just a plug here on this kind of onboarding, simple onboarding sessions. We've just reinstated our weekly live sessions, created a nice Luma where you can subscribe to the Luma calendar, and then we're going to have a weekly open hour just for installing wallets and why Cardano discussion, a little more, maybe a bit of governance since we're working on that now. So yeah, anytime you want to refer anyone to it, just come to 45b.io, and here you have the sign up link here and a bit of more resources around what we've done in the past. So coming to the overview here still on what is 45B, just a bit more in depth. So I just said this, and like I said, I have some background in TradFi and accounting and trying to bridge that with legal as well. So I'm meeting with lawyers around, especially in Portuguese framework, legal framing, to try to make sure that people, for example, we have some people that build apps and they deal with betting or something like that. For the developer, it's obvious that the app just works. You have the contracts, you deposit things, the wheel goes around, someone wins. But as soon as you get that developer in front of a lawyer, he says, what are you doing? You can't do gambling online. You need to have licenses from God and the spaghetti monster. So that's what, we're trying to keep it real in those terms. So don't just create a website that does a lottery or something. go and try to make it at least be headquartered somewhere. The lawyer, if you want to take it down that point of view, the lawyer is going to is going to ask you who's funding you. So who is going to pay for the lawyer's hours to get your terms of service? So that's their point of view, and we're trying to mediate. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what we have there. Just to illustrate a bit more around small and medium businesses, we have the legal and accounting that we can talk to directly because we also understand a bit their point of view, but we're trying to surround small and medium businesses and end users with a bit the technical leg of what wallet should you use, what can you do with this tool and not the other one, how can you create multi-sigs, that kind of technical insight on how to use Bitcoin and Cardano, but mainly Cardano. So yeah, the three words on our logo are learn, manage, and build, where here we have the onboarding sessions, also including the Marlowe workshops for non-technical business users and decision makers to see different business models that they can. Am I coming through okay? I think I got some warning of connection restored. Yeah, and so yeah, the second part would be like supporting management in a company when they have Bitcoin and ADA on their balance sheet. How do they report it? How do they manage it? Whether from the keys and the accounting extracts, let's say. And then if they do want to create an NFT collection or change their business models around this kind of thing, we'll be there to bridge them with someone like Gimbalabs to make those come through. Yeah, so this would be more that side of helping projects. We went over this just now. Before I try to summarize this and move on, I'd just like to showcase a bit these screens where we have 3 swim lanes. For friends that are just users, I usually describe Cardano, Bitcoin as a savings account. So don't worry about knowing the world about it, but if you can learn enough to trust that it's a good savings account, even if it's with a small amount of money, or if with zero amount of money, I give the priority to invest in knowledge. So we have this Google Doc for now, where that maybe it's going to become a docu-service. So all these links that are below are in this Google Doc here. And yeah, this is the swim lane for private users to understand. The 1, 2, 3 approach is the first one: get a wallet and get some sats or some Lovelace and see it running, because it's really simple if you take it like straight into that kind of usage. Step number 2 would be know the problem before you know the solution. So why is the monetary system a problem? Well, and there's a number of things here we could go on around debt-based economy and fractional reserve that the banks do. In overall, I usually describe it as money is cheap and there's a lot of cheap value and there's a lot of malinvestment and there's a distortion of value. This is a term coined by Jeff Booth, which, like I was saying, I drink a lot from the Bitcoin economists and macro analysts that are touching on this point. So maybe in Cardano, I think this is something that's actually not so discussed, but I think that's something that maybe I could help. And I've done it in a few after town halls for Catalyst. Here, the step number 3 is more, don't just think up like, oh, digital value, I think it will work, or government is going to kill it. Don't just do that analysis in your mind. Go and see. Go and see the 10, the 12 years chart of Bitcoin. See how companies are adopting it, ETFs, or a number of things. And also, like I was explaining to friends just today, how it articulates with politics, or is Bitcoin communist or socialist? Is it neither, or how does a communist society can live with Bitcoin, or a socialist one? This kind of discussion, or a philosophical discussion, or the right to private property. These are all things that I think are very interesting and that I would like to debate in the open hour for 45B, for example. Still on the swim lane for private users, here's a bit of self-custody. So what's the difference between traditional bank or Binance or blockchain, and a hot wallet and a cold wallet? Your seed phrase is there, but can also be recorded there. There's transactions. This one is in Portuguese for now. I need to translate it. Here we also have the versions of money. So yeah, there's a lot that we have already if we just want to have these conversations with end users. The next swim lane we have is for business owners, like for the SMBs. Like I keep talking about changing their business models. So understanding a bit this revolution that Web3 is enabling, where people own the things that they publish. And yeah, the difference between decentralized and other forms of structures in the networks, and the value that we can get, the value flows between in web 2, basically investors get the bigger chunk, and the creators and users actually don't get that much. Web3 is mainly enabling uh, different ways of distributing that. But again, it comes down to everyone keeps asking, so if I put something on chain, does the chain defend my rights? No, it doesn't. You need to get registered, you need the law part, the legal part of it, because the real word is the real, it defends the integrity of what you put in, the quantities and the minting of it. But if you want to sue someone, you still need to do it with a lawyer. And yeah, there's, as you know, all these use cases that we like to deconstruct. And for example, with the Marlowe for non-techs or Marlowe for business people initiative, we're planning to go and try to find ways of building Marlowe solutions for these, even if it's just on the sandbox. So the goal with that is not to create production quality things, but it's just to think of what gets logged where, and how could that work. So yeah, that's basically the swim lane for small and medium businesses. And this one is actually not the full swim lane because it has the, I've also been in some conversations to help bridge, I think it was
He's breaking up.
not that developers to Web3.
Hey, Lucas, we
Sorry.
just did start to lose you a little bit
Okay.
there.
Let me just
Um,
switch to my
yeah,
hotspot.
we could
Maybe it's
drop
gonna.
video too. That's usually the first thing I try.
Um, yeah, let me just try to put my own network, and maybe that will make it better. There we go. So, hello, hello.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool.
Hey.
Okay, so I want to 5G on my phone, but hopefully,
And yeah, try killing your video just for now, just to see if that gives you the extra bandwidth you need.
Cardano for non-tech sessions are about is creating wallets, seeing a difference between proof of work, proof of stake, how many addresses can you have in a stake key. Those kinds of bit what I wanted to share in terms of restating a bit what we do. And if we go back to the main topics for today. So this was the reintroduce our mission part. In terms of ongoing projects, sorry guys, I don't know if anyone has anything to say, any feedback on what I've said so far. We'll just move
It's
on.
fun just to see
Oh yeah,
like this whole
sorry.
thing fine. It's been really exciting to see, the version of this presentation 2 years ago to now. So
Yeah,
thank you for this.
yeah, and I'm a bit more at ease as well with it.
Yeah, for real. That comes across. That's really cool.
Cool, thank you. So yeah, in terms of ongoing projects, I'm a bit even shy to mention them because, for example, one of them is already falling behind on the milestones, this Marlowe for business professionals. But Marlowe itself has been revamped a bit, although it didn't impact it much. And I'm doing a number of things. So now we added another one, which is actually going to be very interesting, which is the DREP Pioneers. So I was those people that help DREPs find a way or see in terms of tooling and discussion of why do you want to be DREP. For me, it was interesting because if you know me well enough, I'm usually more worried with the bottom up initiative. So let's empower ADA holders to decide on good DREPs rather than just empowering the DREPs themselves. but I felt like this one is an opportunity to bring the people that I trust or the people that I can find to be to be good D-reps. And so that's a way of contributing, and for me to get on board to all this mechanism as well. The first one we already spoke about, so it's on the website. This one I also spoke about. This one is something I'm helping with CPIA, which is about creating a compatibility matrix for the Cardano Foundation Dev portal, where we have like a Cardano node, but then we have Ouroboros and we have all those tools, and we don't really know the dependencies between them. So this project is going to create a visualization for that. Well, before it's going to capture those links, helping people to record them in a structured way, and then create a viz for that. Also applied for a constitutional workshop in Lisbon. We're waiting for that response in the coming days. I think it's the 3rd of July. And we have something around tattoos and creating a community of tattoos, and at the same time persisting photos or whatever you want on chain. But this one is, I'm just starting this one from the social side. We onboarded a very young friend and cousin of mine to try to create a community of tattoo shops before even creating the technical solution itself, because we need to discuss the business models with them and how they see this kind of possibility coming to reality of persisting tattoos on chain. Yeah, I think that was the main part that I had on the projects. Again, if anyone has any feedback, just please jump in. And on this one, yeah, we spoke a lot about this. I put this one here as a reminder for, yeah, Steve?
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about bringing new tattoo shops online. I mean, on chain. What's
Yeah,
your,
right.
you know,
So
like if you,
go on, sorry.
well, if you could just talk about that a minute, because I've thought a lot about these things.
Yeah. Well, starting from the technical side, we know it's really just the image usually goes to IPFS, and there's a bit of metadata that points to the image on chain, and it creates. So, for example, we can have three. We're thinking mostly of three user profiles. One of them would be the tattoo artist, and if you do a nice drawing, you can like add it to our platform and say you want there only ever be 5 copies of it, or you can say 2,000. It's up to the artist. But then the platform is going to limit that by creating a policy and minting them, pre-minting them, or doing that kind of thing. And those can be sold with a commission going back to the artist. If you think of it from the point of view of the tattooee, that person can browse a gallery of art that was created, but he can also browse a gallery of tattoo artists in his area, and purchase the NFTs. And ideally, we could create a nice dynamic of people can buy a tattoo if it's not associated with a specific tattooer to print it on their skin. They could buy the tattoo from the platform and go somewhere else or hire a tattooer, and they would be onboarding them. They would be approaching this artist with a design they bought on our platform. They want the artist to just get it from the digital into their skin. So there's a lot of dynamics there between who's already onboarded and who's not onboarded. And I think the third profile would be the studios and the studios or the tattooers, basically. Which I'm finding that those are actually two different things. Tattooers go to a lot of different studios. And like I was saying, we're gathering the community now. We're literally doing a list of as many as we can find in Portugal, in Europe, and in some regions that we're trying to focus on. We're going to try to run those workshops, those focus groups with tattooers. We have one person in our team who's a lifelong designer, and she's our tattoo expert because she's full of them. And yeah, we're just doing that exploration. Ideally, we would outreach. We're creating a landing page, Instagram profile, and we're going to be approaching these spaces and artists so that way they come to these discussions, and then we can start to mature the business model.
So, do you know the tattooist Monroe? Monroe, he did a series of NFTs based on
Um,
it, based on his tattoo.
I don't
Um,
know. Do you
I
think I'll
will
find
drop
him?
it. I'll drop his Discord in the chat.
No, no, this is the wrong Monroe.
The
Okay.
other question I had was, have you, in terms of
Yep.
the business model, have you looked at Book.io?
I see how they work. I am a client of them, but yeah, book is a lot about auctioning the things and just leaving them on the market. I think this one would be a bit more on in terms of a marketplace, a bit more like JPEG Store as well. So in the end, yes, it's a bit like a market, but the I think the biggest catalyst that I wanted to create with this is a way of onboarding people, and therefore the page will have a big component of self-serving, or ideal would mature to a point where people can self-serve in creating their tattoos, creating their art, and finding them. So for those three profiles that I mentioned, Book.io is certainly a good example, but I'm not sure how we could articulate with them. How would you envision that? Reusing their code, their business model?
Well, I don't know. A lot of all of this depends on the artist, right? Like if the artist has like something that he likes to do and that he sells easily,
Yeah.
then you can say, hey, there's 10,000 of this. We'll call it an NFT. Uh, and if you get one of those, you get a tattoo from me. You
Yeah.
know, like I am owed a tattoo from this guy, Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
He works out of 6 months of the year he's in France and 6 months he's in Australia. But like I forget what it was. I bought that qualified me to have that. But I'm not sure that I'll do it. But
Yeah.
I may force somebody else to get tattooed. I was thinking about that might be
Yeah.
fun. But
It's really tricky, Steve, because when we talk about these kinds of things, sorry, my computer may be a bit laggy. At least mine seems to be lagging. But you can hear me okay still, yes?
mhm, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to be creating being the doorman for anything. So where I feel, for example, with things like although I couldn't suggest an alternative, is things like ADA handle, for example. They become the bottleneck, or the person that sells the tickets to use this technology of names that can be, people can refer to them. And I think the goal with this would be to create some SIP standards, or some even more generic guidelines than that, and anyone could fork the business model and do whatever they want with it. So
Yeah, to me, the
it's
biggest
just to
problem with
say that.
tattoos is anybody can copy an image. Any tattoo artist can copy any image as they tattoo something.
Yeah,
So like, that's always
yeah,
going to be a problem. But I think if you tie that,
it's
if you make that a
it's
circular
reality.
system within a particular tattoo studio, then you can create a community. And a lot of good tattoo shops are communities. They gather around,
Mm.
whatever people are associated with it, artists or designers or both. But like to me, that implies, I hate using an old-fashioned word, but it implies transparent bookkeeping of the whole process,
Yeah,
for everybody associated with the studio, including the customers. If everybody can look and see what's going on, then they have a lot more trust in that system that tattoo studio could build.
yeah,
And
that's
I don't
one
want to, I
of the
don't want
things.
to,
Now that's one of the things I'm most curious about when discussing with these people, is that some of them are going to be anarchism maxis, others are going to
right.
be right, like just wanting to play everything by the book, and is it legal that I'm doing this or that? And so that's why I
Well,
think
but you
it's
know, even
important.
anarchists like a community, right? Even anarchists hang out with other anarchists, so it's not like they're lone wolves out there. I mean, that's that's kind of the dichotomy of I'm an anarchist and you and all these other people are too. So, like you're kind of like a club.
Yeah.
And to me, like I think, what blockchain represents to me is not just people uh um
Sorry, go
trying
ahead.
to build out some new technology, but they are people who are interested in making their community, however that's defined, sustainable.
Yeah. Your motivations are
So,
always going to be one of the things I find very interesting about, especially a bit about Bitcoin with the mining thing, is that with selfish motivation of mining, you can contribute, you actually contribute to a bigger network that defends the balances and the property of everyone else. And so I sort of believe in that type of inspiration for the maturation of these simple business models or ecosystems, because as we know, things need to be profitable or sustainable financially as well. And if you're an artist, if you're doing it in some way, if you're even just in terms of finding the price for your work, you're gonna eventually raise the price so you can pay your bills, or find different business models and be ingenious, if that's a word, to find different business models. James was saying on the chat, anarchists are the most pro-social people I know. That's cool. That's cool.
No joke. These people actually like other
Right.
people.
So let me.
How they ended up there.
Mm-hmm. Cheers. So let me just go through these points, and then what I was doing here was these challenges of onboarding end users. I'm already bringing it from this section to this section because I would really want to come through the rest. Sebastian?
Yeah, from the beginning. My
Hey.
favorite, yeah, okay, my favorite is the tattoo project from the beginning, since the last year, I guess, because this project came from the Lux event, right? And it was the first Lux, is the company from Matthias Sieber, right? And
Yes. But which project are you
this
talking about? Sorry?
your project, your tattoo
Yes,
project,
yes, yes, yes. You're right. You're right.
linked
You're right.
to linked to
Yeah,
NFTs.
I almost forgot. They subsidized that. They did a small ideathon, and they gave us a bit of budget. That's the budget that I'm forwarding now to my cousin, who's doing the outreach and community gathering. So it's been parked for a while, but thank you for reminding us of that.
Yeah, but in that time it was a whole uh, group of participants presenting proposals and presenting projects.
Mm-hmm.
And in my opinion, and I stated that in that time, it was the most logic option of the list in all the cases that was presented in this moment, because it's really simple and it's logical, and it's the personification of the use cases. Because, for example, in your middleboard, you have
Mm-hmm.
Marlowe, and you have these pioneers, and you have all these technologies, but that simple use case is
Mm-hmm.
is is on top of the rest. That's the
Yeah,
use case.
it's it
It's
actually. Thinking of it, I think it comes in the direction a bit of the simplicity of it, the minimalism, or whatever you want to call it. It comes to in the direction a bit of Bitcoin as well, where Bitcoin just wants to be something that's simple and transferable, etc. This is simple and transferable, but it's a bit more personal. And
because
by the way, even when we were trying to break down things, I actually ideated a bit with. Sorry.
no, keep going.
Okay. So I was saying when I was ideating with Roberto about the tattoo thing, we actually came to the conclusion that that's why I'm doing it the community side first, because the community side needs to be built with tattoo people that have their opinion on how they want to use their things. But on the other side, to keep it very, very simple on the technical level, it's really just about, I have a JPEG, let's mint it as an image, as an NFT. We can use Game Changer for that. We can use other tools that you guys teach here. But that project is actually even more, less themed to the tattoos. And it would be just simple like a CIP, or not even that, to how do you persist, how do you mint a photo, family photo for Christmas, and send it to your cousin that's almost trying to use Cardano. So that would create a social network of photos. We were branding that as a working title of ADA frames. So you have a picture, you frame it in ADA, it goes into your TXO. So it's like in an ADA bubble, as I say, and you send it around on the blockchain. I did that with some friends. And so it's really just to tell you that it can even be more simple than the tattoos. That's one's already themed for people that do tattoos. Ironically, I don't have any, but I will if this project goes through. Right, so I'm just going to share my screen again so we don't lose track of where we are. And yeah, I'm just going to take you through these very, very quickly. Maybe I'll even try to keep my eye on the clock for like 10 minutes. So yeah, on 45bit.io, you have these 6 proposals that we have. We used all the slots we could because it's basically trying to put them out there and see what people value and what they want to vote for to be made come through. Yeah, so we have Global Outreach and Onboarding Center for Real World Businesses and users. So this was on the website 45bit.io. That's why I have it here as actually build this website. As I've shown you, the website's quite simple for now. The contents and learnings that we've gathered, it's also what I've shown you in the beginning of our session today. Groom those and put them into a Docusaurus, make it more self-serve for people. Although I also like the Miro board for the live workshops because we can zoom in and out. Establish and animate, like we already have Instagram and etc., but it's tricky to keep those things running. So this proposal would give us a bit more of budget to actually, instead of me trying to do everything, get someone, a friend, for example, who's already doing that work for other entities, onboard her to Cardano and get her to collaborate with us in doing these tweet plans and especially Instagram plans of promoting things. This would also require us articulating with legal because there's a lot of shitcoin promotion out there and we don't want to be mistaken for those kinds of things. The workshops, we've already rebooted that part, but this would be subsidizing that a bit. And in Lisbon, for example, now we have applied for the constitutional workshop, but it would be great to have a bit more of budget to do more meetups because I really like to, sometimes I've done some projects, some pilot trials at running face-to-face events in Lisbon, and there's a lot of people there that could benefit from it. Second project is just a small utility. I have it here, as you can see my screen. We have one developer that's never done Web3, one designer that just did a bootcamp, myself doing the product part of it, and it's still very coarse. But the goal of this would be that when you're on idea scale, this would highlight the sections, and then you could jump to section, but just by clicking it, so you scroll up and down very quickly. And also it would allow you to save proposals to your favorites that would be stored in the extension that you could eventually export locally if you want. And you could also share this. This could compile a bit what some people do as a Google Doc with all the links. You could use the extension to accumulate those proposals in the extension, and then from time to time export them and drop them on the Google Doc. So it's really just to facilitate, and it seems like a gimmick, but I really believe that the user experience or the facility of the ease of the user stories of people between they find a proposal they like, sharing it with their friends and getting it voted on, or putting comments on in there. It's the decisive factor to the quality of the proposals that actually get voted and funded. So yeah, we're going from idea scale to another thing, but I think this kind of open source type of alternative would be good as a middleware between people. Sorry, am I still okay with you guys? Zoom is a bit jumpy.
Yeah, we got you.
Thank you. Sorry. So yeah, moving on. The other proposals, we have 3 of them that I'm just going to introduce as one, because the concept, as you can see, the description is always the same. It's like gather an open source community to build this and help manage and deliver the project. So the second point is about requirement management and defending a bit the concept that was ideated here. And the gathering the open source community, for example, Gimbalabs would probably be a big part of it, but then to try to outreach and network through CBIA, through whoever has the relevant skills to come and contribute. So what we're asking here is for budget to hand out to people that help us build these projects. And the projects themselves are interchangeable algorithms to rank stake pools. So as from my work in Maestro, and even as a user on Cardano, you all know that none of the wallets really have a way of for you to favorite the pools that you vouched, that you like, or to prioritize. For example, single pool operators is something that some pools, for example, are not are on the verge of being profitable. And maybe we could have an algorithm that looks at the recent situation of those pools and tries to surface them if a certain delegator decides to prioritize that for him, for his delegation. So again, this would be like a marketplace of these algorithms that anyone can pick up the source data that we would normalize, and then a person would flip that data the way they want with that interchangeable algorithm, and some people would adhere to that algorithm and delegate according to it. So that's basically the concept for this one. Again, as you can see, a lot of crowdsourcing of quality and review of things. This one is literally a ripoff of BTC Map. I'm not shy to say that. Because it's a great solution that exists on Bitcoin, and it would help people find any places that are willing to take where this one is maxi. It only works for Bitcoin. Although I found some native apps and some weird things around Prague, by the way, or some like Revolut type of thing. Yeah, so the goal of this proposal is to create an alternate version of BTC Map that is focused mainly on Bitcoin, but mainly on ADA, but also takes Bitcoin, maybe Monero, for example, some currencies that we would like very selectively add to it. Yeah, so that's the proposal there. And the third one has to do with the number of companies that are out there to give you crypto extracts. Yeah, Accointing was one of them, but it's now closed. There's a number of them. And the goal with this one would be at least to give you a core that you can use to export the accounting extracts for your company if you're holding ADA. This company, DAO, for this one, for example, we would maybe partner with the Treasury DAO, I think it's the name in Cardano, and try to get them to help us get the specs to get something like this built. And the last one, yeah, just taking a bit, almost 10 minutes. Mesh as a data abstraction layer is something that I came across as an opportunity that I came across when I was working with Ryan and with some other people. Actually, Ryan from Intersect is working on the wallet initiative or the data layer initiative. And they identified that it's tricky because Maestro has different endpoints than Blockfrost, and that has different endpoints than Poyos or something like that. And they're trying to abstract from that. But I'm not sure they're trying to create some sort of standard that these providers need to adopt. My approach here would be that we've already created, for example, a provider from Maestro into Mesh, and there's other providers there. I keep hearing from more technical than me people that this is not the best technical architecture to do it, but I'm making the case for now that since Mesh is already there and connects to 3 providers or 4, it would be great to power up Mesh. So this would be Mesh Turbo with the ability to fall back between providers. So if you have a key, for example, I know some dApps on Cardano do, where internally they have keys for more providers and they fall back in their own code. Mesh would do that internally, where you have a key from Maestro or for Koios or something like that. If something goes down or is lagging to respond, Mesh would automatically fall back. So yeah, that's in a nutshell our proposals. Any thoughts, any feedback on any of them? Do they look good? Do they look weird?
It's a good list. I have complicated feelings. Can I push you a little bit on this? And this might come across as cynical at first, but I really do want to get to the bottom of this. My understanding of Catalyst is that it puts funding closer to the people who can actually get the work done. And it looks like in this list of proposals, you're proposing a bunch of work that could potentially be done, leaving aside the step of actually building the teams who can do it. And so you're competing with people who are ready to do things. How would you position yourself as a proposer?
Yeah.
Compared to somebody who already maybe has a team to build these things?
That's it's an interesting point. Remember when I was talking before of the guy that does the building, that built a betting website, and he just went ahead and did it, or the lawyer that's actually going to make that legal, or my core skill is the resource requirements management, the product management, and that kind of thing, and also the community buildings. That's why I'm very open in saying here, gather an open source community to build this. I understand what you're saying, because without doing this step, I won't be building any of these things myself. Maybe on some of them, I do have some insight on the data wrangling that may be required, but yeah, it's a different. This is proposals written by a product manager, and that from my point of view, I humbly say that basically what I'm putting out there is, does Cardano want to have this tool or this tool or this tool? I don't, obviously, maybe I would even withdraw them if I felt like I was stealing from someone else who wanted to do this. But I can tell you, for example, with this example here, there were proposals that were being approved to give 5 times or something the budget that I'm asking here to a company that's already doing crypto extracts. It's just for them to create a connector to Cardano. And that company would be selling you that service. After they get funded with 5 times what I'm asking here, they would be selling you access, and you would need to be paying hundreds of dollars per month to use their services. So yeah, the approach here would be like very much open source. And I think that's worth having this alternative on the menu. But yeah, let me know.
Yeah, no, and that makes it a really novel approach to this sort of decentralized funding. Yeah, and so I hear you say that at the beginning of the presentation. I think that's a concept that's really worth leaning into, because it's something that I do think that a critical mass of voters could agree with you on this. So are you really like selling it that way? Like this, I am a project manager, and here's why that's awesome.
We can take a look at the proposals themselves, but the main thing I'm doing on the proposal is selling the concept of this map, a concept of so maybe I'm being too focused on the product itself, not necessarily of how to build it, but I think there's exactly like from my side of breaking down the project and making sure things get built from the bottom up. I think that detail is there as well. Maybe I didn't answer.
No, I like it. No, thank you. And
Yeah.
thanks for going there with me. I wouldn't start with that question if we didn't know each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, there's a lot of people doing a lot of weird things. Some people are mm, not seeing things correctly. Some people are being opportunists. I'm not sure if that's a word in English. Does that translate?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And
So,
we have
so
those people here.
yeah. So I think, yeah, some of those, some of the proposals that are being approved are not actually bringing so much value to Cardano, or like I said, they're getting paid to then charge tickets to use for Cardano people to use things.
Right.
And yeah. Anyway, thanks. Does anyone want to add anything else to these as feedback? Do you think this one could be useful or not really? It's the design's still not all there, but what's your first thought of this? Okay, moving on.
I think that one, that one, the first thing I thought is that you really should reach out to Lido if you haven't already, just to see what their plans are.
Mhm.
Do you have a way to collaborate with them, or have you gotten feedback from them about it?
No, I know Lido is building the DRAP proposal, proposal promotion campaign platform, but I didn't really bounce this off him because I
Well,
was
just
seeing it.
on the Catalyst side, they've already built an API that blows idea scale out of the water. And
Okay,
so I think you would want to be using, I mean, personally, if I was going to build a browser extension and I needed a data feed, I would ask Lido first and not idea scale.
well,
Um,
but
and what Lido is already working on, the place they're going to is they recognize that anything they build for Catalyst now
mhm.
is going to be relevant to the more general Conway era governance transactions of Cardano, right? So this extension right here, as a proof of concept for Catalyst, absolutely great idea. This extension is going to be even more valuable as just like a wallet that we think of, right? When governance transactions are just one of the types of transactions you're interacting with on mainnet.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting. Because for now I was seeing it as a tool for the user. So it's literally that's why I wasn't at most we would need an API to convert from a Catalyst link to the other type of sorry, what I mean is idea scale link to the other catalyst.io link. But apart from that, this would be on the side of the user. So just to this part helping the users UX in Ideasca, and this part more in terms of just saving them locally and sharing them to others. So there wouldn't be necessarily much here on in terms of APIs, but yeah, it could eventually serve to, for example, have a tick box of what you've already voted for or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to talk with Lido as well and try to ideate this a bit. What we wanted to do here, that's why we've already started, is even if it doesn't get funded, to build the not an MVP, but a POC, right? Um, Next, what we have here is a bit just open discussion on things. So the building together section. Um, we just had, actually, maybe we can add here the open source office. Did you ever hear about this? This is a branch of the open source committee
Nice.
from Intersect. So I'm going to publish this soon. We had a call with them a public call with them last Wednesday with CBII, and it's really interesting because where CBII is talking mostly about infrastructure, Pragma is focused. I think these like don't need introductions, right? Maybe just like CBII is the Cardano Blockchain Infrastructure Alliance. It's at cbii.io. and it was started by a number of infrastructure players in Cardano to look at standards and collaboration, and also to create a joint voice that we could talk, that we could use to talk to the Cardano Foundation, IOG, etc. And now we are also trying to articulate with Intersect, because Intersect is taking over the repos and the governance of them. So coming back to the open source office, it's something that's being led by Christian. I'm gonna maybe drop the link for that as soon as we publish it here and on the Gimbalabs server. But in a nutshell, they're going to be an open office to help projects open source challenges, whether it's deciding on a license or, I don't know, even one thing that was really interesting for me on this call was their focus on productization and monetization of projects that they support. So it's not just about the open source repos and the license. It's very much about the sustainability of these projects. Also, I was happy to see that they are Catalyst aware, so they're not just in the Intersect bubble, and they're trying to cross-pollinate would be a good word. So yeah, with this framing, I wanted to get some feedback from you guys on the state of open source in Cardano. And these are this is just a side question while we have it here. I wanted to ask you guys if you have any ways that you can suggest of having a Git repo that has issues that need to be done and then pays them with ADA rewards. I know that Piotr was working on this one, and I know that Santiago and TX5 have something as well. I don't even remember the name. So yeah, with all this framing, who can add? Does anyone want to add a bit or give me some feedback on what I shared?
Well, for that one, Andamio does that. So we'll
Ooh.
yeah, we're ready to handle contributions, treasury, like contract-based treasuries, tasks, and we've been demoing that inside of different Gimbalabs spaces. That's going to be a big thing we practice this summer.
Yeah.
And just so you know, Gimbalabs is going to go on a slight hiatus for the first half of July, and we'll be back in full force mid-July. Really, and that's going to be one of the things we really focus on is how to use that tool and get people on board.
Congratulations for your most recent project, I think, with Barcelona, right?
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yeah, that's really exciting.
It
Yeah.
was really like something that is like a flagship project that
Oh man.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
we're gonna people who haven't cared about blockchain yet are going to be using blockchain because they are football fans, and it's going to bring them into a whole new sort of understanding. It's going to be pretty fun.
yeah. Onboarding is everything, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, and this one is more like for if someone wants to provide services and get paid in ADA. Is that it?
Bonfire was an idea that I'm not certain where it stands right now. I know Piotr had a catalyst proposal for that and made some progress on it. But yeah, that one kind of got put on hold. It was really about people scheduling time with each other as mentors. And so we're choosing with Andamio not to tokenize directly the mentorship part, but to help people be able to assess the value of that exchange. And so it is going to be interesting how, like, what is mentorship, community organizing, project management worth? And if the answer is, well, it's worth something, then what ought a tokenomics to say about that? So we're digging deep into those questions right now.
Sounds good. Sounds really interesting, and it's going to be fun seeing things happening. I hope we have not just the Barca project, but a lot of installations that are going to show us. You guys are doing what's the AI chain? I keep forgetting. SingularityNet, right?
we're supporting them with education and onboarding. I mean, and that's what we're about to see, right? Is all of these disparate parts are ingredients for systems that actually make a difference to everyday people. And that's, when books are written about the advent of blockchain, the remember what just happened to all of us in the last few years? We were here focused on blockchain because we thought it was going to change the world, and then like AI just ran right past us,
Yeah.
right? But really, these are just two parts of a tool stack that haven't been integrated yet. Not really. Like what's the best application that ties together
Let me show
meaningful
you.
AI and meaningful tokenomics?
Let me show you. I was just here in Berlin. They have this office, WorldCoin.
Okay, so what's the story?
I'm
Pitch.
kidding. I'm kidding. No,
Okay.
WorldCoin are the guys that are want to scan your retinas. They are by the guy from
Okay,
GBP.
no.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because I approached this guy just to hear the pitch, and he was like, "Oh, we want to give rewards to our users. So if I scan your retina, you get X amount of euros worth of our coin." And
Nice.
then, yeah, I had you never heard of this one in the US?
So I don't get out much because I'm so focused on developing. You can either keep up on what's going on or you can build.
Yeah, yeah, but it's weird because these kinds of projects, these guys have been working in Lisbon as well in the train station. They had queues of people that want to scan their retinas, and
That are ready
obviously
to do it. Let's do it.
it's crazy because obviously I'm playing a trick on your question because here you're talking about real life use cases, day-to-day things that you want to push your processes internally or network people and reward people with people's actual work or contributions. And this is really the weird side of blockchain and Web3. But unfortunately, because it's a bit like because it's VC funded and it's full of VC capital, they have their spaces, they hire people of marketing and promoters to be in metro stations, and it's very concerning for me because a lot of people are going to learn about it. Literally, I have a friend who was completely allergic to Bitcoin and everything. And the next meeting we had or a lunch of friends, he came with this wallet saying, "Oh, now I have this, now I get it." I was like, "No, you don't." But yeah, so
But for him, that was the missing link, right? So what was it about that the story they told him that made him change his mind?
yeah, I don't know because this guy, like I said, his pitch was, "We reward our users. You're going to get this much worth of our token now, and then if you check in every month, you get a bit more." And I responded to him asking, "What does it mean to be a user of WorldCoin? What does it do?" And he just said, "People in the future may want to log in with their irises, and so there's no real usage there." So
You may want this.
yeah, it was really yeah. Some people are going to buy the idea of for example, universal basic income. It's something that's debatably useful or not, but maybe it should be enforced or put in place by governments or not. These guys are selling that idea to people that if everything goes wrong, they're going to continue to coin their coin and gift them to. And there's other systems I know. People have approached me with other systems that are almost pre-crypto of it's yeah, a pyramid marketing type of thing, I think. But I'm just showing this to talk about the point of why it's important to onboard people or to give them some basic literacy. Like I was talking here about like getting to a no coiner and explaining you live in a world where there's only paper bills in your pocket and a balance on your bank. And now you're going to have digital euro, you're going to have Bitcoin, and you're going to have this. Your bank is eventually going to tell you that a bit of your savings account is invested Bitcoin. Your partner or business partner may eventually have a business model that uses Web3. But so this kind of literacy, I think, is very important to reach out to people and to get to people as soon as possible, because if not, these guys are doing it. And when you get to this and someone tells you, so when you get to study Bitcoin a bit, you understand why 21 million is important. And Cardano has 45 billion. Maybe I neglected to say, but the name 45B comes 45 billion, the fixed monetary policy of Cardano. So this is the issuance curve. This is the main thing that we want to drink from Bitcoin a bit, and reinforce that Cardano also has a fixed monetary policy, which is the exact opposite of what WorldCoin or any universal basic income thing would have. Universal basic income basically means they're going to print money every month to give it to who's, I don't know, alive or something, but that's devaluing the coin in the pocket of everyone else. And these notions, they're not even that important for devs to be able to do their work. But even for devs, I think this should be very, very something that's covered and well known, understood before they come up with any project in Web3. Because yeah, I was orange pilling a guy just now 2 days ago, and he was already talking about, I'm going to create my own token, I'm going to get people to buy it. And yeah, that's when I jumped to, maybe why not contribute to these chains that are like still a sound way of changing things, but you can still get funded, you can build projects, but please consider doing them in Bitcoin and Cardano, and not create your own Ponzi scheme. So I think what I'm trying to say is the advent of these things, like at least for me, I had already quit TradFi, and I found here a way of building a new Fi that's a bit better. I'm not interested in building. That's why my focus here, if you see, I'm not really focusing so much on DeFi projects or yield, or what do they call it, rewards, those things. This is real use cases, right? Yeah, sorry, I went on a small rant now.
Yeah,
But
I'm with you. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's why even devs notions more discussed, and just to close, because I have it on screen, I don't want to digress even more, but this was a DMs that I exchanged with one guy who's a Bitcoin maxi, and this is a bit why we want to have governance on Cardano, and he just says he's sticking to Jack Mallers' keynote. Jack Mallers, a guy that's like very big on Bitcoin onboarding. He has a wallet that onboards millions of people with like a off and on ramp. But the point here was that Bitcoin is irreplaceable, and it's the only one because of the proof of work. And yeah, I keep saying that on Cardano, I think what I wanted to shout out was a bit this kind of, although we acknowledge Bitcoin is king, Cardano is having a slightly, like, we're risking to create a chain that's not based on proof of work, but with proof of stake. We acknowledge that there's a society, that we need governance, that we eventually are going to need to manage each other, and that's something. Hey, Daniel. Okay, thanks for muting. Yeah, so I think, yeah, anything like Bitcoin and Monero or Cardano can be useful in different ways to society. Maybe I'm a bit biased because now I'm working a bit more on the governance side. I've been studying to do that DREP Pioneer course. By the way, if anyone is considering becoming a DREP, reach out and come attend our session on that topic, because I think it's going to be really interesting. Any feedback on this? I don't want to be reading all the channel, but I just had this here as a reminder of like what I was closing here and saying. For me, it's a valid attempt to do a different thing than Bitcoin, because we're acknowledging that we're taking on the challenge of trying to have governance instead of just having the chain run forever without minding us. Any thoughts on that?
I love that
I'm not sure if I
distinction.
touched a nerve or
This is great.
if
No, I mean that notion of acknowledging that society exists. I like that language. It's really good.
Yeah, but if you ask me, I need to acknowledge that Bitcoin's probably going to last maybe 200 years or whatever, And Cardano may in 30 years may collapse because of corruption in governance and something like that. That's why we need to care for it. The difference between Bitcoin is that even if you care, you can't change it. Cardano, if you care, you become a D-Rep, or you don't become a D-Rep, but you become an educator. And yeah, Claudio?
Hi, Lucas. Thanks for a
Hey.
great presentation. I've seen your group before, but I wasn't really sure what was it about. I mean, it was non-technical, so I thought, okay, not for me. But you have really, I mean, if this is your non-technical version, I would love to see what you say for technical ones, which is really, really pretty high level. I was wondering when you want to attract small businesses, say, great, okay, Cardano looks good. Where do I get people to write the smart contracts for me?
Sorry?
Where do you get Cardano developers to work with these small businesses? So you attract a small business, okay, your tattoo parlor or whatever, and say, okay, you sold me on Cardano. I love it. It's the best thing since sliced bread. Where do I get Cardano developers to do the smart contracts and all the development for me?
Well, Gimbalabs would be my first source, but for now, we're still like, I have a few companies that I'm trying to onboard or help. One of them is developers already, and the other ones are still not there. But yeah, like what I was trying to, even with these things, if any of these get approved, they're going to be coming to Gimbalabs in a good part, like I said. And you tell me, like, for example, if I came to Gimbalabs with a project and asked if you have capacity to build this, or if you don't, can you recommend someone else? I cannot recommend anyone else, to be honest. I don't know any other alternatives or hubs of developers. Do you know?
Well, I'm stuck down here in Buenos Aires, so I was asking this question to a few people that came up to present ideas for Catalyst, and say, okay, I started trying to push them on technical issues. Say, oh, I know nothing about that. We just hire TX5, you know. So
Yeah.
That's the answer locally.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, but thinking of it, there are some names, some big names that are out there getting funded and getting funded in the hundreds of thousands or something. I would maybe run away from that a bit, or avoid using that, and keep it fast, keep it organic between developers. I would prefer to have a project running for double the time, but built open source and built with a community of developers, than to just hire a company.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's a lot more productive for everyone. Actually, one of one of the first drafts of a proposal I did was not for Catalyst. It was for a project for someone to buy something. Was something that we spoke with Mesh to do it, and they said they would only do it if it was 100% open source. And I just double clicked on that, and Jingles was very like clear in saying, like, the internet became what it is because it's a protocol, it's open source, it's like decentralized and feel permissionless and etc. So yeah, that really clicked for me. And I feel like if I have an option, like I was saying, I could be working for TradFi, I could be working for, I don't know. Actually, I was just doing interviews for some type of semi TradFi organization, but I would prefer to continue working on funded proposals or something like that on these ones than to just go back. Because I think here we have more say. The problem with corruption in terms of values, things that should be good, should be efficient, but aren't, or etc., is a lot about the incentives, the monetary incentives. And when we have things like Catalyst giving out grants for people to do things, people do whatever they really value. So their drive and their direction is going to be more genuine and more healthy, I would say, than to just continue doing what the big machines, the big corporations want you to do. Not sure if anyone wants to close, any closing thoughts or anything. I don't have anything else to present. I think it was really interesting because we flew over everything, and anything on this? Have you been like, in terms of what we try to do is onboarding people, orange billing or blue billing. Blue billing sounds wrong for me. I don't know why. But does anyone want to share a bit if you've been onboarding users, if you think mentality has been changing, or is it a cultural thing? Is it what's in the news that keeps onboarding people? What can you share in those regards? I think Steve, for example, I'm not
I know,
sure,
I
but
know Steve's thinking something. What's Steve
yeah, because
I
he's
I actually I had a conversation with somebody I hadn't talked to for a couple of years Sunday. You know, I just mentioned it to him. I don't push on it anymore. You know, I've and it may just be because I don't have an unlimited circle of friends or pool of acquaintances that I feel comfortable talking to about it. I don't know. My disgust for the American situation at this moment in time, I don't see why. I don't understand why everybody is not looking for an alternative to what we have in the United States right now. You know, it's amazing to me that people aren't paying attention to this, just out of the need to find a better way to live. You know, you know, but there's a lot of people in America that are comfortable. You know, it takes a long time for an empire to fall, and for people who are comfortable, they don't see it. You know, I've been glad to see how much is happening in Europe in Cardano and blockchain altogether, you know, because I think it's that much more present for them because of Ukraine, that things are really getting bad. You know, like they don't, you know, on the people level, they don't have control over anything anymore. And I think they know it. In the United States, there's still this layer of fat around us that it makes it hard to understand what's actually happening.
We're doing our last one.
sorry, 1 second. I'm so sorry, guys. I just had to
are you
respond
getting
to
kicked out?
Yeah, they're doing their last round, and I just wanted to ask if I wanted anything. So sorry. So, but it's really interesting because one of the things before I signed up to come here today that I was reviewing was the call that we had, and we were touching on this point. And I think that at that time it still wasn't very clear for me. But as you can see now, I have that 1, 2, 3 thing, and the 2 is know the problem, and that's what Steve was talking about. So people don't see the problem, so they don't create the solution, or they don't feel they need the solution. But on the other hand, I think actually we did speak about these 2 different vectors where people don't know the problem, they don't run to the solution. But on the other hand, if they know they have $100 that someone's going to give them to scan their eyes, they're going to run to it. And if they think that they're going to multiply $20 or bet or something, they're going to go to it. And it's still very, very puzzling to me. But yeah, I keep thinking about this type of benevolent pyramid scheme in terms of marketing to orange pill and blue pill people to come to Cardano. But I don't know. There's one thing that I've been in touch with a lot, which is circular economies. So I see it mostly as I don't know, a transporting business or something that's more business to business, that does business with a closed circle of partners to try to lobby, what I think would be the word, with those kinds of companies so that they can internally start using it. But for example, the lawyers that I talk to, they say build for the world, but don't build for the US, because in the US you're going to have a lot of trouble. So maybe, sorry, I'm digressing. Circular economies have a good potential, but another point is, do you feel it's also hard to build for the US, or do you guys have any views on that in terms of legal?
Well, you know, I'm amazed that Mian got their stablecoin off the ground. I'm amazed that they are allowed to sell in as many states as they are. So you know, there's a lot of incongruities in the United States that, you know, could be solved by the presidential election. You know, like, I mean, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for the United States to say, like several countries have done, I don't know how many, to just say, hey, we're gonna define commodities, we're going to define digital assets, and we're gonna not tax crypto profits. You know, that's what they did in the 90s with the internet companies. They got a free pass on taxes for years. And that's what happens in Portugal. That's what they do in Argentina. That's what they do in El Salvador, I think, and you know, several countries. And you know, that would be massive. You know, like people would then look at crypto in the United States if there was some place that they could work and not pay taxes. You know, it would drive people to look at it. You know, it's an opportunity there, and it's, you know, because of, you know, the centralized news media and centralized authority figures in the United States, it's so impossible to tell what's going to happen at this election in November. You know, I don't know. I have no idea. What I'm glad to see are so many projects like Palmyra and all these other big platforms that are growing and coming live in Cardano. You know, we don't need to worry about a given country. You know, I don't think. I think we just need people to build the stuff that Cardano is built to support. And I'm, you know, just look forward to that.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Looking forward to that as well. But I think feel like something's missing in terms of adoption or in terms of drive. So
Yeah.
I think we're starting in a blind spot. There's these people that know but cannot come through. There's these people that don't know that and there's this gap of communication or.
Well, see, this is why I kind of stepped in when you were talking about the tattooists. You know, because I believe that there can be that critical mass reached when there have been enough businesses started or started on blockchain, you know, real big businesses like, you know, like somebody who manufactures something or somebody like a tattoo shop. If they build their business on blockchain and figure out what tokenomics can do for their individual, you know, circle, you know, that virtuous circle that sustains their business, if they can figure out how to tokenize that appropriately, you know, because we're getting to the point, particularly with Plutus V3, where then that kind of business, which is a small ecosystem, can flourish, and then that will attract other businesses and people to businesses that are doing that. You know, like if for instance, if you produce a consumable, you know, like you make candles or your wife makes candles, and you can get your wax supplier and your customers to understand what you're doing with your bookkeeping, that your bookkeeping is happening on the public ledger that is Cardano, and that you'll be able to track contributions by the suppliers as well as the purchasers of that product, and you know, let that little mini ecosystem thrive with that. You know, because I mean, it's a great way to do referrals. It's a great way to do so many promotional things, and it's a great way to maintain control over costs.
By the way,
And it's really, it's just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, have you guys started looking into Midnight at all? Because that's going to be changing a lot of minds.
Yeah.
Even like I have 2 or 3 no-coiner friends where I created that picture for Christmas and I sent it, and the first thing they said when they got the wallet, I think I let it through that oh, don't worry about me helping you because now I can see your wallet. They were like, what? You can see into my wallet? How does that work? That's not supposed to be like that. And so I think if we can start implementing midnight solutions, it's going to be different for a lot of people. But it's a whole
They haven't
big
put out
and
much. They haven't put out much information, but they're supposedly coming out with some stuff in the next few weeks. You know,
Hmm.
so we'll see how
I
it
know
goes.
there's a weekly call on Fridays. I went to one of them once, but
Yeah, I've been
no one
to.
here really
I've
is
been.
building on it for now.
Oh, it's an absolute marvel. It's wonderful. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that speaks to, we have our work cut out for us. I I share Steve's reservation, like of I'm kind of on a hiatus from rushing into talking about this stuff and trying to onboard people. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I would never blame anybody. And in fact, a quote unquote no coiner, I actually think they're the wisest people in the world, right? Like anybody who doesn't get it yet, that's on us, right? If
Yeah.
we can't build tools that make sense to these no coiners, then do we actually have something worth sharing with the world? And so, yes, we can talk about the monetary policy argument. People have been beating that drum for decades.
Mhm.
If you know it, you know it, right? And a lot of us here do know it, but we know from the days predating blockchain that just talking about it wasn't enough to change, like to shake people out of their daily habits, right? And so our job, rather than wishing people would change, is to give them a reason to. And that's what we have the chance to do right here. So I think you have a list of proposals that proposes to do that. I know that in the ways all of us are working together, like I love that you brought up circular economies,
Mhm.
because that's an innovation by people who are on a parallel but distinct track from Web3 builders, right? They're starting not from the question of how can tech solve the money problem. They're starting from the question of how can groups of people agree to solve the value exchange problem.
Yeah.
These are connected, and we've found within the Catalyst community people who are thinking about both of those problems in parallel, but those two tracks haven't converged yet. When they do, right, imagine what happens to the Web3 industry when instead of people aping into NFTs because they want to make money as fast as possible, because that's their named goal, what if instead you're onboarding people who are already practicing with new forms of collaboration and need some tech to support it? That's a really different starting point for a community to grow from, and we're gonna feel it. We're gonna like Cardano Twitter is going to sound different when that happens, but it hasn't happened yet, and that has to be on us. Like I mean, again, right? There's reasons you can think about them, but at the end of the day, who but us to take responsibility for that? Oh, people don't get it yet? All right, let's build something so that they do.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're taking the summer off from meetings at Gimbalabs, because there's a lot of building to do. So we're wrapping up
Yeah.
season 3 of Playground now, and we'll be back in September if there's value in this thing existing, right? Just like we have to build utility so that people onboard to Web3 and they use the tools we're building. Gimbalabs as a collective needs to decide that this space is worth keeping. I've been hosting it for a few years. We've had some great conversations over the years. And I recognize on my journey that I need to shut the door and build, because I've got some of those. We've got a few of those things in the works that we think are going to blow people away who haven't cared about blockchain yet, but we need some time to build them. So this is a call to action for anybody who is looking for an opportunity. Gimbalabs Playground is looking for a new host for season 4. And we would love for you to be in touch. Anybody who's been part of the Gimbalabs community, if you want to step into this and make it your own, or anybody else who's looking for a venue, we're going to get creative with this over the next few months. We'll talk about this idea on Thursday at our last open spaces before we take a break for a few weeks. But very excited to see what comes of this next wave of innovation, big and small. Lucas, sorry to hijack it, but I saw that connection there, so I had to make it to the deep work that's ahead and making the space to do it. But thanks for this one. Yeah. Anything that you'd like to share before we close out for today?
I just want to say thank you for the space. Thank you for all your work on so many different fronts. And it really makes all the sense that you guys want to focus and reshuffle and pass the baton, right, for someone next to hold these spaces. But I hope that you're going to be around for, you know, a good part of them as well. And it's really curious, James, because when you're the host, it puts you in a different position. You need to be more, I don't know. Yeah. Probably you're not that conventional either way. You're creating the space to wreak havoc anyway, to start fires. So yeah, but I would love to, I'm gonna love to see you coming to these spaces without being the host. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm looking forward to having more energy for CBIA and Odin, for example, as well. These spaces
and CBIA and what?
And Odin, Open Decentralized Innovation Network,
okay,
has been doing some amazing work with kind of the human infrastructure, the governance work, the sociocracy.
Do you have a link for that?
There's a Discord server. They're not even rushing into having a public face, but you know a lot of the people behind Odin. So yeah,
okay.
we'll make sure to get you hooked up.
Okay, I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Again, from my side, just thanks for everything, and it's great to have like a genuinely organic community. Like I said, I can't really point to many others or any that's comparable. And I hope you guys continue to grow. I hope that I can be a part of it somehow. And I will surely, if I'm successful in what I'm trying to do, I will surely be bringing some business to you guys for building. So looking forward to that. Thanks again for all your input, everyone.
Thanks for being here, Lucas. Enjoyed it.
Good stuff, y'all. And thanks for hanging out today. For anybody looking for Playground, we'll see you sometime in maybe September. And check out gimbalabs.com/calendar if you're looking for chances to get involved. We're going to have a lot of informal sessions this summer, unscheduled chances to get together and work deeply. If you need a break from deep work, then we'll see you next fall. All right. Take care, everybody.